Welcome to SoCalSportsReport.com's 83rd live podcast. I am John Stillman, along with our regular crew of Vince Morales, John Adams. And we got a ton of stuff to talk about tonight, so we're going to get right after it. NBA, of course, coming up with free agency, and that's the big topic. And reports yesterday now that Kawhi Leonard is going to meet in Los Angeles on the 2nd of July with the Clippers. And apparently he has narrowed his choices down to Toronto and the Clippers. We're going to get into that and talk about what nobody knows what Kawhi's thinking about. I mean, even his closest friends can't figure him out. I can't understand why he would really leave Toronto. I mean, Toronto has a better team than the Clippers, unless he really wants to come home, really wants to play at home, really wants to come to L.A. I mean, why would you leave a world championship team? But we don't know. We don't know what's inside his head. Vince, do you have a microscope that can look in there between the ears and see what's going on?
I don't even know what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. So I don't have a crystal ball. I've got nothing. And with Kawhi Leonard, I've said it before, he's a weird cat. I don't profess to know really anything about that guy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a Southern California guy, and there has been talk that he would like to be here, but there's a lot of money to be left on the table, and with the kind of injuries that he's had, the longest, richest, safest contract would be the 5-year max with Toronto that nobody else can offer, which is close to $200 million, $190 million. That's the safest. But, everybody tells guys like this, especially 26-year-olds, bet on yourself, right? And so maybe, like you were talking about off air, a 1-1 or a 2-2. But again, that could be a 1-1, but it could also still be in Toronto. I think Clipper fans need to have guarded optimism here. Yeah, for sure. Laker fans can understand that because there's been a lot of, over the years, a lot of rumors and a lot of almost that never happened. So until that name is on the dotted line, I mean, I would advise Clipper fans just to calm down for a minute.
Well, I think what's great about it is actually it's the first time the Clippers have actually expressed that they want to be aggressive in free agency, and we haven't heard that in a long, long time. I mean, I got to give it to the organization about, putting a very competitive team, even though they gave away a couple guys late. It ended up being that it was a team that believed in Doc Rivers and was scrappy. I mean, we said it from the very beginning, who was going to be on the front of the program. Like nobody knew who was the face of the Clippers. Like nobody. I think they do need a face of the Clippers, and I think Leonard is the kind of team player that could come into onto that squad and actually make it very, very competitive and take it to the next level. Do I think maybe they might need another name? But they got an owner that has a lot of money, and I think the organization has kind of convinced him, saying, "Hey, look it. I mean, even though you might still be." You could possibly win the West and still be, to be honest with you, the stepchild to the Lakers. I mean, it's what it is. It's the Lakers are a proven successfal organization that pumps out probably $100 million in profit every single year, right? And they could be terrible in basketball. But I think it's like Vince says. I think Kawhi likes it that nobody can read the guy's mind. He likes to be this mystery man, right? And he loves to make you think, maybe going down an avenue that he's not even thinking, but he's making you think that way. I think there is strong possibility that he does come to the Clippers. I agree with you. Why would you want to leave? Why not start your own, kind of Warriors basketball, team up in Toronto, right? You got a great support there, obviously, but nowadays it's just all about who you put around you, and what the Clippers do, in the offseason is probably going to be big for him. I think a lot of this conversation with the ownership is going to be okay, if I come,
I think
how aggressive are you going to be? Because if it's just me that's coming, I don't know. You know, I'm coming from I'm coming from a championship winning team, and yes, there's potential here. I mean, you could put some, but it's just not going to be me. I think you're probably going to have to get another, A+ player to come play with me to kind of make this a great, well balanced, team. So
I think they would like to. I think they would like to sign 2 superstars, 2 max.
Yeah,
Ballmer's. He's not afraid to spend the money, and he doesn't care about the salary cap.
no,
If he has to pay luxury tax, he doesn't care. He wants to win. I think it would be kind of exciting, really, to have the Lakers and the Clippers both competitive, both perhaps making the playoffs, maybe facing each other in the playoffs, because we've never had a situation where they've both been good at the same time. The Lakers have been good. The Clippers are terrible. The Clippers have been good the last few years. Lakers are terrible. I think it would be great to have them both on a high level, both make the playoffs, and that would really get that rivalry up and kicking.
I think it would be great to be honest with you, to raise a banner there, or put some type of banners up in that stadium or in that arena. So
it's so democratic and socialist of you, John. The Clippers are going to earn what they're going to earn, right? Everybody's got the same cap. There's it doesn't matter how rich Ballmer is, right? There's a cap, right? It's a pretty hard cap, right? There's some luxury stuff that goes on, and the Warriors might be in jeopardy of that, but the Clippers aren't the Warriors, and you've got to prove that you can make it to the next level. But I mean, they're Gallinari, Beverly, these are guys that are going to be commanding top dollars, right? Look, Kawhi's the guy, right? They're going after Kawhi, right? But if you're a Clipper fan, right, who's been that dog that gets kicked to the curb, you've got to be thinking just a little bit in the back of your mind, we go after 2 and we get none. What the hell happens next?
Right. Because
that's kind of the Clippers organization, right? The culture's different there now, right? I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that's a possibility, right? That's a possibility. And with the way the Lakers have gone, it just felt like they were never going to do things right. I mean, it feels like they did the right thing by getting LeBron last year, and then they just, stepped all over their own toes from day one. It was the first signing was Lance Stevenson, and then it was like, what are they doing? Yeah. What's going on? So you can get Anthony Davis and bring him in. It's what you do next, right? So the Clippers can say, our culture has changed. We have a young core. We have a front office. We've got an owner who can do this. And your intentions are good, and you can be successful and have a successful plan. But if you don't pull it off, you're still little brother Clippers.
And you talked about the luxury tax there, and I'm wondering if these big-time owners, they even care about it. Because when I was up at the Open couple weeks ago, the big talk about that up there was these guys are all hearing from this owner, they're going to pay Kevin and they're going to pay Thompson, and they have no problem. They just are going to make so much off of that new arena, right? I mean, Oracle didn't even win the buying rights to the name. It's Chase did, and then Oracle. So AT&T pulled out of the baseball stadium, so Oracle took that name. So Oracle didn't even get the naming rights to that new arena, even though it was in Oakland the whole entire time. Chase Bank did, right? So because they just are going to the playoffs and the finals every year, you would be just amazed how much money that these people are going to be paying for these tickets in downtown San Francisco. It's going to be crazy. So the way that these fans in Northern California talk, they talk like they don't care. They're going to be making so much money off that arena, they don't care about the luxury tax. They care about keeping the winning tradition going. And I was like, well, do you understand what you're going to have to pay these guys? They're like, he's come out and said he doesn't care. He doesn't care what he has.
They got that personal license thing that the NFL has now. The Warriors are going to implement that. That's the first team in the NBA to do that. You got to pay to buy a ticket. And, they're going to make millions of dollars on that.
And so so I'm not saying that Ballmer's thinking the same way, but I think if there's a guy that can be aggressive and not worry about maybe just going over the tax or dealing with the tax, that's probably what he's going to have to do to get that, But again, Vince has made a good point. You spend a lot of money and then you don't get what you want out of it. I mean, that's going to be a tough one to take. And you got Lou Williams wins the sixth man again for the second time in a row. So you've got it. You've got some depth on your bench. Like, if you can get a couple superstars to hold on, and again, the West, it's the West. It's not easy, So
yeah, all I'm saying is that I'm not wishing this upon the Clippers. All I'm saying is that it could be tough. I mean, because the Clippers could miss two big name like max contracts and still be pretty good, right? The Lakers might not end up signing another person who anybody's ever heard of, and they'll still be pretty good, right? What I'm suggesting is that, just what if you don't get those two guys and you're still number two on the marquee at Staples, you don't even have your own building, and you're trying and you're just not getting there. To me, that's the tough situation. It's a little. This is how big businessmen make money, right? It's like I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to lose. It doesn't matter. And if I do lose, I'll just keep moving. And it could end up that they sign two max guys. They get to an NBA championship. Maybe they don't win it, but now the steamroller's going. The momentum is building. Now they're building them an arena in Inglewood or somewhere.
Inglewood, across the street from the Rams.
But again, there's also the suggestion. It's like, yeah, LA is great, but you're always going to be little brother here unless you move to Orange County. And then some other people have come out with like Ballmer's from Seattle.
Yeah,
that team is begging for another squad, right? You could be the big dog in Seattle.
You could still be a Clipper in Seattle.
You could. Absolutely.
Right? You really could. They have the Clippers out there, don't
Sure they do.
Yeah.
You could be a Seattle Clipper. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Ballmer would be a hero. A hero. And he would, and honest to God, look, and again, some of this is just because I'm a Laker fan in LA, but you know what it's like. You know what it's like when you're rooting for the Clippers. I mean, I know people root for the Clippers, and I know what they feel like, right? They feel second class. And the Clippers will always be that in LA. They just will.
It's actually a smart idea to take them to Seattle.
When they hoist that one banner, if they ever hoist that one banner in LA, it's gonna look chintzy.
Yeah.
In Staples next to the Lakers, because the Lakers could be crappy.
Yeah.
And will one do it for this town? No. No. But
it's going to be interesting. That's for sure. What you guys have any ideas on what direction the Lakers are? The Lakers going to would they be able to sign a big name player, or do they just go for a bunch of little smaller contracts to fill out the bench?
We're not. Look, all of it's speculation until we know when the deal is signed and inked and done. Right? It looks like it's a July 6th deal, right? Because there was a third party involved already. The pick that the Lakers made is for Atlanta, right? So because of that, nobody's waiting until the 30th for that. So it's not a 30th. So we can already lop off what the pick would have been worth. So now you're down to $28 million, right? So the Lakers still potentially have $28 million if that contract and that the deal is finalized July 6th. That's the most likely. The Lakers have $28 million. If Anthony Davis gives back his $4 million trade kicker. But let's just say that's not going to happen either, right? That you can hope for that, right? But you're not getting the pony, Laker fans. The pony's not there. You can keep digging through all that crap thinking all this poop, there's got to be a pony under here somewhere. It's not going to happen. $32 million is not going to happen. They will not sign a max guy unless that max guy is willing to come down and give him take a haircut on it. They're not going to. So it's $24 million is most likely. and we'll know more July 6th when the deal is consummated and who they go after. But I can already tell you that it already reeks of bargain bin shopping.
Yeah, no free agent's going to take an $8 million cut just to play with LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Well, I just heard that J.R. Smith is going to be waived by the Cavaliers, and he would have been worth making $15 million a year. So he could sign a $1 million contract, veteran.
The Lakers are going to have to sign a lot of.
You're going to have to get a shooter in there, and I don't know if it's a J.J. Redick. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, but what kind of money would Redick
exactly. That's what we don't know. But I believe the Lakers. Obviously, I don't. Their drafts have been so-so, right? Like Ball's turned out to be a bust, right? And that was their number one pick, right? I don't think they're very good in drafting people. I think they should go the Yankees route and just pay people to come play for them.
Well, we don't know. I mean, a lot of these guys. I mean, D'Angelo Russell had an All-Star year in Brooklyn.
Russell and
he was one of their picks. Julius Randle had a great year.
21 points a game.
So they drafted well there. Lonzo Ball was one of their best defenders.
Kuzma,
Brandon Ingram.
Kuzma's been good. Yeah,
Brandon Ingram was considered one of the top with the most potential. So they've drafted a lot of. They've been able to draft a lot of guys. They haven't yet been able to develop them into champion and establish them. They're developing, but they're not established. And so you're right about that. Most of the guys that they're getting, but that's how a lot of teams are formed. But it was those days are gone for the Lakers where they because they've given away all their picks to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So
which actually could be an interesting squad to watch.
They're going to be very good.
I think if they're coached well and they all mix together well, that's going to be a fun team to watch actually. So
Lonzo setting up Williamson,
right? And then there's they got
how tall is Zion Williamson?
He's only like 6'7", isn't he?
6'6".
Yeah, he jumps like he's 7'5".
He will be a good player, and he may be a great player and a transformative player. But you can't tell me that a squad with Zion Williamson, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram is going to win a lot of games. I can't be convinced of that. 2 years from now, maybe.
Julius Randle?
Maybe. Have they signed him yet? Is he signed?
Oh no, I mean he was there.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they going to be able to? I don't know. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm not convinced of that yet. And it's certainly not this year, but in the coming years when they start using all of the Lakers draft picks, yeah, maybe. I don't have fun watching ball. I don't have fun watching a guy who can't finish at the rim. I don't have fun watching a guy who can't shoot free throws. I don't have any fun watching a guy who will pass up open threes and who shoots like that. That's not fun. That's not fun to me. You might have fun watching them. I'm gonna have no fun watching them. Right? I don't think they're gonna be very good. Zion Williamson, I'll watch. I'll tune in to watch him. And there's only so much you can do. What Alvin Gentry is gonna find out is that he cannot play Lonzo Ball 40 minutes. Number one, because he just won't hold up, and number two, because there are going to be times in the game when he just can't score, and he's not going to be a threat. And the Lakers found that out.
And they'll foul him.
Yeah, or they'll foul him, right? And so they'll have to take him out, right? And so, but they have the other guard, whose name escapes me right now, and why I can't think of his name. But anyway. So he's not going to be doing all of the heavy lifting, right? So,
what are your guys' thoughts on? There's been a lot of talk of D'Angelo Russell meeting with the Lakers. I've heard some very comical things on the radio today about this.
Me too.
What are your thoughts about him coming back to LA?
The best tweet I saw today was, Magic Johnson got rid of D'Angelo Russell to make cap space to get D'Angelo Russell and then quit the team so he could, tamper with D'Angelo Russell to get him back to the. It's the most comical thing. It's one of those forehead slappers for me. If you take out all of the other stuff, the background with D'Angelo and, how we had to get rid of Mozgov, so we traded him. If you get rid of all that, it sort of makes a little sense to me, right? D'Angelo's a good player, and he could fit. But he's going to be worth a lot of money, and I wouldn't mind having him back. But to me, it feels comical. To me, it feels comical. Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you were sending it to me telepathically.
I didn't want to interrupt you. You were on a roll
because I saw you had a little grin on your face like you had it, and I thought, I know it is. It's true.
Give me an opening.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
I look at the you send us the list of all of of a bunch of free agents that they might pick up.
Yeah. Nothing was attractive, to be honest.
Well, after that first tier, I mean, sure, Kyrie. I don't think Kyrie's the answer, but I would be willing to give it a shot. I don't think Kemba Walker's the guy either, but I'd be willing to give that a shot as well. But then I start looking down, and it's like, oh God, sure, Patrick Beverley, but for the kind of money that you'd have to put out to sign him, I think Seth Curry could be got at a little bit less. I think those are the types of names that are more reasonable.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, well, I heard Houston. There's going to be a sign and trade.
Oh, really?
So Houston?
Yeah. So that looks like that's being reported as almost a done deal. Jimmy Butler traded, signed and trade to Houston. So
I think Kyrie is isn't he looking at Brooklyn, isn't he?
I think he's looking everywhere. I mean, I think he's going to try to talk to Kevin and find out what the heck's Kevin's going to do.
Well, I heard an interesting thing coming in on ESPN that it was the Brooklyn team doctor who did the operation on Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're going to go to the Knicks, why would you have? You don't need to have the Knicks doctor do your surgery, but why would you have the Brooklyn doctor do your surgery if you're going to go to the Knicks?
What about the Warriors doctor?
Exactly.
I mean,
well, I think it goes back to something we've talked about on the air, and that is that they did him wrong. The Warriors did Durant wrong. We talked about it on the air, and I read some quotes from a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon, who said,
"That's right."
Last week, it looked like it was always an Achilles issue, and that they said that he had regained calf strength, and he said, "You know what? That he had lost calf strength." He says, "I'm looking at this, and he goes, I'm seeing him snap his Achilles here, right? And you can't do that if you've had a limited strength in your calf. That doesn't happen. You have a strong calf, and a strong calf pulls that Achilles. So for him, the doctor said, look, that was always an Achilles issue. His calf was at full strength, right?
Yeah.
This was never an issue about the calf being, compromised. He goes, because compromised calves don't do that to healthy Achilles.
You said that the day that thing happened.
I told you that it looked like an Achilles. It had all the hallmarks of an Achilles injury from the get-go. Everything that they say, where a guy just goes down without contact, where a guy looks behind him like somebody kicked him in the back of the leg, like he goes down like he's been shot, right?
Yeah.
All of that is what it looked like. And even if he didn't tear it, there had to have been some damage. And I'm not believing that all of these MRIs that showed a healthy 100% Achilles and a calf strain. Because there's a surgeon that has confirmed that he does not believe that, just from looking at the video of what happened. Unhealthy calves do not pull healthy Achilles away.
You guys have any comments on some of the draft picks at the Lakers and the?
Well, the Lakers.
They got one.
Clippers.
The Clippers get one.
Clippers got two.
We got we got an 18-year-old kid who can, when they're being kind, they say he's husky. right? He for his height,
he's big
he
boned.
weighs the most for anybody his height in the NBA. What is he, 6'3", 6'4"?
6'4" with this Horton Tucker?
Talon Horton Tucker from Iowa State.
Yeah.
He's like right 230, 240 and about 6'3". But he's got a 7-foot wingspan and big hands. So we look, I think he could be a great player. He's 19 years. He's 19 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's 19 years old. He's a year in the D League away from helping the Lakers. But look, I get it. I think they overpaid to move up and get him. But I like the pick developmentally. I just wish it were for a team that had other guys. They need guys to fill minutes. And
right.
With this kid, when he's in shape, right? Because I'm telling you, right, Summer League's going to start. You're going to watch him, and all of those, he's husky.
He's going to sprint to the craft tent.
But look, you only get one chance at the NBA, right? So the kid is saying all the right things about what he's going to do, how he's going to work, how he's going to feel his body. Look, what 19-year-old kid is taking good care of his body, right?
Exactly.
I mean, they don't have the same training table at Iowa State that they do at Kentucky, right? Right. So.
Okay.
Clippers got a kid from Florida State, actually scrappy player. He needs to improve a little bit, I guess, on his 3-point shooting to get a little bit more to kind of be in the game plan of playing for. Obviously, I think both guys that they got are developmental kids. The other kids from UCLA, Jalen Hands.
Yeah.
So, point guard, I think it's, again, developmental. He's only shot like 37% from the 3-point range. So, again, just developmental guys. I don't think they're impact players right off the bat. So
the Lakers signed a couple of undrafted guys, right? The kid from Gonzaga,
yeah.
Zach Norville, and then Jordan Caroline from University of Nevada, Reno, who I saw play in person when they just destroyed the Trojans at Galen Center. And Caroline was a beast. He was an absolute beast, and I was a little bit surprised that he was undrafted, but I think there's some promise there for him to, after he cuts his teeth in the summer league, he might even make the roster. He's a little undersized. He's going to be playing behind Kuzma and LeBron. But he was also asked at times to defend the 5, right? To defend the post. So, and he's a pretty good shooter, and he can rebound. The guy was one of only, I think, one of only 39 players, to have 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. Wow. That's just unusual. Yeah, sure, it was in the Mountain West or whatever, conference they're in, but.
Well, they went far also in the tournament, so,
So Jordan Caroline possibly could give them some minutes, and Zach from Gonzaga.
Any more NBA before we move on? Is that we pretty well covered? I want to talk a little bit about Albert's warm welcome in St. Louis. With all due respect to the Dodgers, I think the Cardinals might have one of the greatest fan bases and greatest crowds in sports. They appreciate guys like that. They gave him this. I'm surprised they didn't give him a standing ovation when he went to take a piss. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hits a home run every at bat.
I thought Molina was great. Molina was great. Yeah.
It was,
and he went out, gave him his time.
Just so emotional.
I absolutely agree. I thought it was at one point I thought it was over the top, and I think he's like, okay, enough's enough.
He was getting embarrassed. I think.
And but it was like it's something he'll never forget for the rest of his life. Right. Just the weekend alone, just the just playing all 3 games and got to hit a home run, and it was his last, in the seventh inning, it's a line base hit to left field, and you're looking at them wanting to pull him so he can give him a kind of a standing O, your last hurrah, pinch hit for him, and he's like, it's only 2-0. Like I can't take him out, right? And he ends up getting up again with bases loaded with one out and pops up.
But they did pinch run for him in one game.
In one game they did, the very first game they did,
and that was still close too.
Yeah,
I mean, they needed the run, I guess. They were trying to scratch a run
thank
out.
God they didn't to pull him because they ended up almost losing the game on Sunday and giving it back. But
they tried.
Yeah,
they tried to lose,
but it was just it was, and I'll tell you who was loving the whole thing was Trout. Trout's, he's like a mentor to Trout, and he was just taking it all in. I love they mic'd Mike Trout up on Sunday, and he went to Goldschmidt. He's like, man, that was so awesome. The guy wanted to hit a home run so bad. He got to hit a home run, and all he wanted to do is give the guy kudos, and I just thought it was unbelievable. I mean, and again, you're absolutely right. I think it's an organization and fan base that is just top notch and A+. Yeah. I was very impressed with the whole thing. It was very special.
Great weekend.
It was.
And for Trout, sort of a look at the future for him if he ever does leave the Angels. But wherever he goes, if he does end up leaving, that's the kind of reception he'll get.
Yeah.
And what a great player. And I think it didn't work out the way Angel fans wanted, but to have two Hall of Famers like Pujols and Trout in your lineup, pretty special.
Yeah,
pretty special.
Yeah.
Despite the results, it's still a pretty special thing.
And Trout was Player of the Week this last week. Yeah. He had 12 RBIs, hit 483.
7 in that one game.
Yeah, 7 in Toronto. Yeah, he loves it. By the way, he loves to hit in Toronto, I guess. I mean, that was crazy. So, but yeah, that was a good. It was actually, other than the first 2 games there in St. Louis, it was. I'm actually going to go to the game tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Against the mighty, you want to see Yasiel Puig?
Is that who they're playing? Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
No.
Be out there in right field so we can
now I might cancel.
John will not be running out to right field to give him a hug.
No.
Like back-to-back nights when people ran out to see Cody.
You don't want to
on the field.
That being said, since we're on baseball, I don't know if you mentioned about netting. I guess.
Oh yeah.
I think as I obviously it's very. I shouldn't say it hasn't been proven, but it's pretty obvious that the balls are doctored,
exactly.
Right? And they're really hard. And I was talking. I actually played golf yesterday in the Angels Foundation. It was the Tim Salmon / Angels Foundation golf tournament locally here, and I had a chance to chat with Salmon about it. And he says these things are rock hard. He says they're absolutely rock hard,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, he was reading his phone actually, and he goes, "Did something happen yesterday at the Dodger game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Bellinger hit one in the crowd, and girl had to go to the hospital. Thank God she's okay, and everything's gonna work out." But he just shook his head, and I go, "You think they need to take the netting down the line?" He goes, "Something's got to have to happen because this is just." And he goes, "Look at it." He said, "With cell phones nowadays, nobody's paying 100%
well, that's
attention.
What I was going to say. Yeah.
There's a lot of social media and a lot of this stuff that's going on, and people are just not watching the game 100% of the time, and it's dangerous. And these guys these guys now are hitting balls that are going 115, 120 miles an hour off the. Yeah. He goes, you don't have time to react. By the time you look up, it's over with, right? Yeah. So, I think it's something that your eyes will adapt to. Maybe it can actually go a little lower when it comes down to left field. It doesn't have to be so high.
They're going to take it all the way out and hook it to the left field foul pole, right?
Right, exactly. But I don't know if they need to go straight across. Then maybe they can kind of lower it a little bit as it goes down because, to hit a ball. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but I think it needs to be done.
For sure.
It's
for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
I love watching a game, where you can see everything. I'm disappointed that it has to be like that, but it just does. Yeah. I mean, it just does. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You have to extend the netting. You have to protect your fans. But again, there's always two sides to it. And like you said, fans aren't paying as much attention. This is not a game that's like football or basketball where there's action, happening all the time, right? At a speed of which you're totally mesmerized. It was always a sort of a leisurely pastoral game, right? So, it makes sense that it just compounds it. The fact that people are already there and having conversations and watching the game and having conversations. Nobody's sitting on the edge of their seat watching the game, right? I mean, that's one of the beauties of the game is that you can kind of sit out at the park in the sun and have a chat with the person next to you, watch the game in sort of this park-like setting. But you add the cell phones, like you said, and the smartphones and this and that and everything else, and your cell phone and a big thing of nachos, and you're going to take one off the dome once in a while.
Back in the day when I was on the Angel beat, they chartered, so every year the Angels would take the writers' wives on one trip. And we were in Boston in 73, I think, and they had 4 seats, right? The visiting team in Boston was in the third base dugout then. I don't know if they still are. The wives had 4 seats about the third row behind the third base dugout. And fortunately, they were late for the game because one of the Boston hitters hit a line drive, left-handed hitter, hit a line drive that hit the back of one of their chairs so hard it broke the seat.
Wow.
It broke the back of the seat. Yeah. And if the wives had been there, whoever was sitting there could have been killed.
My dad, actually, when he first decided to get season tickets, it was down the third base side.
Right.
And it just took one line shot down the third base side, and he said, "We're moving." Yeah. And I said, "What do you mean we're moving?" He goes, "Your mother's never going to pay attention to this game the whole entire time. We're getting the hell out of here." And we ended up getting lucky and getting tickets behind, but we shared them with a bunch of families. But he's like, there's no way. And that's when the netting was all up and everything was all safe. And he's like, it's crazy. I mean, I'll never forget a foul ball that was hit by the Yankees. Oscar Gamble hit a foul ball. He turned on it so fast and had such an upswing. He hit it out of the stadium above the dugout.
Oh.
Okay, that's out of the stadium as a foul ball, let alone a line drive, right? It's just these people don't have time to react. And by the way, you could be eating a hot dog. You don't even have to be on your phone, right?
No,
drinking a Coke,
right.
a beer, whatever. Socializing with an employee or somebody that you're entertaining for work.
I can remember back in the day, at Anaheim Stadium, they didn't even have netting behind the plate.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I think the Dodgers are being proactive with this now. They're going to.
Oh, Chicago, the White Sox are already taking it.
Well, they've already done it, but
yeah.
Caston start talking about, I don't know when they're going to do it, but they want to do it quick. So,
yeah.
All right, let's talk about your walk-off Dodgers, Vinny. They
it's unbelievable.
It's
Look, that's why social media is such it's fun, but it also occurs because people will still find a way to complain about this magical team, right? Kershaw has one bad game, and people are coming out.
My season's over. His career's over.
It's great. It's crazy.
Giving up dingers to the pitcher.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, So, but to be able to watch that sort of thing and actually get to this point where you're going, they got a chance. I mean, they've got a chance. They're gonna find a way to tie this game. They're gonna find a way to win this game. But to have the organizational depth that they have to send kids up there in the bottom halves of the ninth inning,
right,
and hit walk-off home runs in 3 consecutive games. Sure, that's a magical season, but that is also a testament to the fact that this roster goes beyond 25 men. Mm-hmm. It just does.
Oh, yeah.
And and then you start to think about the things that sort of had to lead up to get them there. And most of those games, I think they had to come back to tie the game, or the Rockies came back to tie a game, and Buddy Black helped out by walking Russell Martin, guy with 6 RBI on the season, and he decides to walk. I think he's got 6 or 7. Yeah, that many. And he decides to walk him for a kid who's in the minor leagues has hit 6 home runs in 7 games.
Yeah.
Again, that to me, that's absolute hubris. That's absolute old school.
Exactly.
Let's pitch to the rookie.
Yeah.
Let's pitch to the rookie.
Yeah, now the rookies.
I guess you don't get minor league stats, buddy.
Yeah, and rookies are performing. It's nowadays. It's just like with golf, like it is with tennis, like it is with a lot of sports now. These younger kids don't have fear. They don't care. They're coming up, and they're maybe they are nervous, but they're not showing that they're nervous, right? They're showing that they're very comfortable. And I think Dave Roberts said it the other night. He's like, these guys are going to be able to come up, and these other teams are going to think now, oh my gosh, we got to pitch to this guy like he's a regular guy because all these rookies are performing for them. Exactly. And now, he feels like he's got depth 1 through 9, and he doesn't care if there's a kid that was in Oklahoma City last week. He knows he can hold his own there, and that just tells you when it comes to expand these rosters, come September, it's going to be, they're going to have to feel very comfortable that they got guys that are ready to go at any time and can hold their own, and that's nothing. You can't ask for anything better. I think Hill, is going to have to get healthier. But they're still, their pitching is.
They got a rookie starting tonight, don't they?
Yeah, don't they?
Dodgers.
No, Stripling's tonight. Tomorrow, Gonsolin.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay, because Hill went on the IL. Sorry, I always want to say. But it's what's his name? Struck out like 16 the other night, right? Or
Walker Buehler.
Yeah, Walker Buehler. Yeah.
Yeah, and needed the some heroics to get the win.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little update. College World Series, Vanderbilt 3, Michigan 0, top of 6. Vandy's got men on first and second with 1 out.
Let's give you an update. I want that to go to a third game. We want a Vandy win there, right? Get Vandy a win. And
when UCLA went out and Stanford went out, I had no interest in the College World Series.
Yeah, I'd like to go to that one year. I think it'd be fun.
Put it on your bucket list.
Yeah, why not?
Any more on the Dodgers, Vinny, or is that
look?
Cruise control.
It's unbelievable, and I just anybody who's a Dodgers fan who's listening and wants to complain, and sometimes I do the same thing. But at this point, up 13 games on the next best team, it's okay if Kershaw has a clunker in there. It's all right if Kenley Jansen. Look, I don't look at this team and think this team is absolutely going to the World Series, going to win the World Series. I don't look at this team and say that. I've been around baseball enough to look at a team and say championship teams are only as good as their flaws, right? Their worst flaws. And there's some flaws on that team, right? No hitting from the dish. Without Will Smith, there's no hitting from the dish. Second base, some of the defense is starting to, Muncy, not great. They're moving Peterson over to first, and he's not a first baseman because they're anticipating Pollock coming back. And that if they're anticipating Pollock being in the lineup every day after coming back, they're going to stick with him whether he's 1 for 50 or 25 for 50, right? That's a done deal. And so those are the types of things that you look at and you go, well, I worry, but I'm not going to worry about that till September, right? Because right now this team is playing great. They're overcoming any of those weaknesses and those flaws, and they're fun.
Taylor's doing a great job hitting the ball since
he's come around. Yeah, he's come around. And even when they're not hitting great, guys are contributing. And Kike Hernandez has been just terrific in the infield. He's made an absolute unbelievable. Did you see that barehanded grab that he made? Yeah. Barehanded grab and throw. It was absolutely fantastic. And the Dodgers are winning games with their defense. They're winning games with their pitching. So I'm thrilled. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the season, and you won't hear a bad word out of me till September.
My rookie of the year is looking pretty good. And if that kid from the Mets actually, if the kid from the Mets kind of starts slowing down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got 25 home runs. I don't think there's any
chance that kid was hitting one every day at one point.
There was a note. Bellinger said that he will not perform in the home run derby this year. He said maybe next year when the All-Star game's at Dodger Stadium.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. But I like that.
Yeah.
Takes a lot out of you. Remember,
It really
does.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Jock was in it. Yeah.
Well, that was into his season.
Yeah.
He wasn't worth the darn in the second half.
But I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers move a guy like Jock. I think his stock will. He now that people see that he can play first base as well as be a good outfielder, and he's hitting all of his home runs are against right-handers. Somebody would want him, and I think the Dodgers can parlay that into something good. Again, I'm not complaining about Jock. He's hitting the ball while he's playing good defense.
Yeah, that's all you can ask.
And Muncy, can you believe that?
Yeah.
30.
Tell you guys got a good little punch there. 3 through 6.
Yeah. Muncy's. The Dodgers don't strike out a lot. That's an improvement over last year, and it's part of the reason that they're winning so many games. But the Dodgers are at a point where they're winning a lot. But you think back 2 years ago, that 2017 team was at 60 wins in July, right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of the barometer, right?
Yeah.
That last year's team was never going to beat the Red Sox. It was just delusional.
I'll
of
tell
me
you right now,
so.
it could be tough to beat the Yankees. That squad is just loaded.
Have they had a home run yet tonight to break the record?
Probably
27 straight games.
I'll check right now.
Yeah, they're getting healthy. That's for sure. Let's talk a little bit about Corey Perry. The end of an era in Anaheim. Number one career with the Ducks in games with 988. Second in regular season goals, 372. Second in winners, 64. Third in assists, 414. And third also in points scored, 776. The MVP in 10 and 11 when he won the Hart Award with 50 goals. He's been a class act. All good things have to come to an end. I think the Ducks probably did the right thing. He has really slumped the last 3 years. His production has gone down. His injuries have gone up. They got a lot of good kids in San Diego ready to come up. It's something you hate to see happen, but it happens to everybody.
It was
and
time.
Getzlaff will be next.
Yeah,
Getzlaff
it was
will be
time,
next.
and you could see his production was way down, and he was getting hurt a lot. Wasn't even able to. I don't think he made the Canadian Olympic team last time.
He was on the fourth line.
Yeah, and he kind of saw, and I don't know who's going to pick him up, actually, to be honest with you. He probably could fit in as a fourth line guy, but he's going to have to take a major pay cut to play again.
I think they bought him out.
Yeah.
They bought him out.
But you could see that his production was down, and it was, I'm all for this new coach, and I'm all for fresh blood and putting with some seasoned veterans, and they signed Miller again to be the backup goalie, which I think is a good signing there. And I just think that if we can get these veteran guys to, look, the game's getting faster, right, and it's getting quicker, and I think if we can, these kids can look up to the Getzlaffs, and the Getzlaffs can come back and mentor these kids. I think it'd be great.
And they got a lot of that's Sam Steele and Troy Terry, and there's another guy that's there's a Max Combs or something. But they got a lot of speed coming up from San Diego, and they got the coach coming along with them.
They all know him, right?
Yeah.
They all know him. So
I don't know what took so long, but how could you botch that signing?
Right.
The guy's earned his, he's earned his time, and did a good job with these kids down in San Diego. They all know him. It's going to be a effortless transition, really. So I think it's a great move for the Ducks.
Matthew hit a home run for the second baseman for the Yankees.
So that makes it 28. That breaks the record.
Yeah.
They were tied with Rodriguez and the A-Rod, and the Texas Rangers had 27 in a row.
Jeez.
Anything going on with the Kings, Vinny?
Yeah, they had a good draft. I mean, obviously they had dropped out of that second pick in the draft and got to the fifth. I think it works out. I mean, obviously Jack Hughes would have been the prize, or the other guy, Capo, I guess I can't remember his name. But Alex Turcotte was a guy who was expected to go third, fourth. So for him to drop to the Kings at fifth, 18-year-old center who has been described as sandpaper and silk. He can grind, right? Yeah. And he is, all over the ice. You can put him on a power play. He can set up guys. He can score. He can skate. He can defend. He's going to be something. Again, he's 18 years old, and he's going to play this year at the University of Wisconsin. So, that's not going to be happening right away for the Kings. They also got a good-sized Swedish defenseman who's got just great abilities and hard to get by, a good defender. Saw him a little bit in some of the international play, Tobias Bornfoot. And he'll be good. And then their third pick was the Uzbekistan kid, Arthur Kaliyev, was a winger. And all of these kids, they could be something for the Kings. So it was a good day. But the flip side of that is that this is an organization that has admittedly, by some veteran players, said, look, the culture was bad. We were fat and happy and entitled, and I'm looking around at that team, and there's still a lot of fat and entitled guys on that team.
Old and slow.
Yeah, old and slow. They haven't gotten rid of any of those. Still a team whose two best defensemen are Doughty and Alex Martinez, who are older in their 30s. Kopitar in his 30s. Jeff Carter, who is not, you just can't rely on him anymore. He's an older guy. So, I don't have a lot of hope for, the Kings have their third coach in, 2 years. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy. But they're fun to watch when they've got a little speed. So they do have that coming up through the ranks. So
that's good. Yeah. Santa Anita meeting closes with 30 deaths. Now Churchill Downs has said, we'll be willing to host the Breeders' Cup if you want to move it out of Arcadia. This thing is beyond, what more can you say? I mean, how long is this going to go on? Yeah. Nobody can find a solution?
Yeah, right, exactly. And if I'm on the board of the Breeders' Cup, and I don't know if there is a board, but I would drastically make this move ASAP.
Can't take a chance.
Yeah, you're just going to have people no-show, right? I mean, why do I want to put $1 million horse on that surface right now? I mean, something is seriously. They thought they had it fixed, and then all of a sudden it goes bad again. I know it's a big thing, financially for the Santa Anita racetrack, but you've just shut the meet down again for the second time this year, and I don't know. I'm going to spend a lot of money to ship my high-end horse out to Santa Anita to run there, and I'm scared because at any time this horse could be done, right? Yeah. I don't know, Vince, but it's like 31 horses, I think, already in this. I mean, I watched the thing on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, and they did a deal on this whole it's crazy. They don't know. They really don't have no clue what's going on here. And look it's all over the place. I mean, there's 2,000 horses a year that die, at tracks across, and it's just like it's 50 here and at Gulfstream, and it's 40 here at these other ones. It's just not Santa Anita, but it just happens to be that it's 30. Like the statistics I said before at Gulfstream, these other places, it's 50 for the year. This is the 30 in this meet. Right. Like it's dangerous, and I just don't see these trainers and these owners wanting to put these $1 million horses on. It's a big. I mean, there's the Derby, there's a Preakness, there's the Belmont, but this is like the biggest horse gathering of all in one time, in one place, in one weekend. And I think you have to start looking at other tracks to take this on.
I think it should be considered. I don't think the jury's out on what the problem is here, because if good, I'll be just very, very blunt. Good horses are not dying, right? High caliber, talented horses with good, reputable trainers are not dying. These are crappy trainers. These are guys who are injecting their horses. I don't know that it's the turf or the dirt. I don't know. I'm sure that's part of it, but this is a perfect storm of, the California board looking the other way at certain practices and drugs being pumped into these horses and horses getting the okay to run, just like you talked about on that Gumbel thing.
It was disturbing to watch.
Horses getting the okay to run, against what maybe a veterinarian tells them, and trainers and owners just, doing the wrong thing. I'm not convinced it's a bad course, it's a bad turf. Shut them down, because if you send these horses other places, they're going to die other places. They were dying at Del Mar, and California has a reputation right now for not being able to keep their horses safe. It's not all the track, in my opinion. Again, I'm telling you, owners, trainers, they need to be held accountable for what's going on, and the product that they're putting out there, and the horse and the athlete that they're putting out there. I mean, they got, what are they doing? What are they doing? There are plenty of horses that shouldn't be racing out there. So, but Santa Anita's not going to give up on the Breeders' Cup that easy.
It's a lot of money.
Oh, it's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of money for the state. Right?
I was down. A couple of years ago, I was down in right on the countdown to Breeders' Cup being at Del Mar, and everybody around Del Mar was talking about it. My wife and I had lunch around there, and they were just saying, "Oh my God, what this is going to inject into the economy." The fact that it was at Del Mar for the first time, it was crazy. Right. We're talking crazy amounts of money. We're talking crazy amounts of dollars and high-end guys coming in, and players and horse owners and horse bettors and people who just spend a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it doesn't.
Santa Anita cannot let it go.
It's really a shot in the arm for the economy. Tremendous shot in the arm.
So they need to take charge and take control. I don't know what they can do. There have to be stricter rules about.
When is the Breeders' November 1st and 2nd?
Yeah, it's late.
November.
Yeah,
it's fall.
Late. Yeah.
When do they have to make a determination on where it's going to be? I mean, how long can they wait?
I have a feeling they're gonna do a whole investigation here again on the track, and then I don't think there'll be.
Like Vinny says, it's track's maybe not the problem.
The track has been deemed healthy, right? After that first.
Yeah.
That first time,
they brought
the first
that
time
one guy back.
they brought the Kentucky grass specialist and then dirt specialist in and deemed it safe, which is why I'm telling you it's not just the track. I'm sure there are things that can be done. They can make it maybe drain better. We're not going to see the same amount of rain that we had over the last 6 to 9 months or 12 months. We're just not. So that's going to be different. But again, I don't think good horses are dying. I don't think the good, great athlete horses are dying. But,
Moving on, before we wrap it up, I want to give props to UCLA softball pitcher Rachel Garcia. She won the prestigious Honda Cup Award, which goes to the top collegiate female in all sports, not just baseball, all sports. She had a tremendous career. She pitched the Bruins their second college World Series, a 29-1 record this year with a 1.14 ERA. 286 strikeouts. She pitched 65 2/3 of UCLA's 75 innings. And when she wasn't pitching, she hit 344, 11 home runs, 57 RBIs, and she's well deserving of this. And the thing that impressed me, it's not just the outstanding woman player in college pitching.
All sports.
All sports.
That's great.
Female
Yeah.
collegiate player of the year.
Probably sealed it with that 16-inning game, that
Yeah.
complete game that she pitched, where she also walked it off with the home run, 17 strikeouts in 16 innings.
Great
So what a
season.
gutty performance, yeah.
Don't you wish
Absolutely
regular pitchers could throw that way?
Yeah.
Well, Nolan Ryan tried, but yeah.
And Women's World Cup,
Yeah.
the women,
they've got the big one coming up.
they survive in advance with the big one against France.
France in Paris
Yeah.
on Friday.
And I know that you're calling the U.S. the possibly the favorite, but I don't know. I think France is with the fans behind them.
Well, that's going to be brutal.
It's going to be brutal, and they're good. France is good this year. So, I mean, I heard a couple interviews where the girls are like, yeah, you can call us a favorite, but we'll be honest with you, they're the favorites. We're the underdogs here. I mean, they're good, one, and two, they've got a whole stadium behind them.
Yeah.
So, they're going to have to get
It's a
ahead.
tough match.
They're going to have to get ahead early and hold on and
take that crowd out of
because the whole right side of this draw is so it's crazy strong.
Sweden's good.
Right? Yeah. No, it's Sweden beat the U.S. last time before the World Cup, and so they're able to hold on and beat them the other day, but and then beat Spain, but. I think the left side, is that where England is? And
all the pansies.
It's like it's all dominated on the right side. So
this is the match of the tournament.
Yeah, this is actually a final. This is like a
This is
final match.
like a final, yeah.
This is a semis, right?
Quarters.
What's it? Yeah, it's the round of 16. They advance from the 16.
So this is 8.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought it was
It's going
4.
to be a good. We have anything else, John? You want to recap Pebble, or is it?
No.
Wait a minute. Yeah, hold on one second. I'm going to go back to the Women's World Cup because I agree that this game probably should be closer, but I think the women this year are superior to any team. And sure, France could catch them, but I've watched them play out of the gate, dominant out of the gate, and if they get the right lineup, I mean, then they're so deep. They can end up bringing Carly Lloyd.
Yeah, she comes in the second half.
In the second half, Morgan starts. Ertz, I think, is healthy again. Sauerbrunn didn't, start. This team is really, really good.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
good.
Sure, 1-1 goes to penalty kicks. That wouldn't surprise me. But I'm erring on. I take the bet that this is going to be like a 3-1.
Wow.
4-1 type of game.
He's saying bet the over.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm saying give the goals and bet the over. I think this is
that
a dominant
We're
US
not
team.
saying that gambling's good for you. Vince will be taking the over.
We have a mutual friend who just bet the WNBA today. So.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy. That's when it's down.
Hey, action is action.
Yeah. He'll probably be betting the dogs tonight too.
I think he was a winner, by the way.
Pebble Beach was not what the USGA wanted. It was the Friday before, all the way until Wednesday around 2:00 was absolutely breathtaking, gorgeous, 80 degrees, not a breath of wind. Everything that you see in a photo about Pebble Beach was those 4 or 5 days. About 3:00 on Wednesday, I looked outside the tent where I was in the tent, and I looked out and I'm like, what is coming our way? And this fog came in, and it never left. And from that point on, when I say the fog came in, the tent tee box was about 260 yards away from me. I couldn't see it at one point. That's how thick the fog came in. But they'd already been able to do all their practice rounds and get all their notes and do all that stuff. Talking to some caddies, they said it's very fair. The rough was roughly, you could probably get it on the green from 160 to 165, and if you could find a lie. Other than that, you had to play to a yardage that was going to be suited for your next shot. It was going right down the avenue of, we're going to bake these fairways and we're going to bake these greens, and this is going to be crunchy and hard and really tough to play. Small greens. It's a second shot golf course. It's all about, where you place yourself to hit your second shot. And then all of a sudden, every single morning, there was a mist, a dew. It was wet, and they couldn't do anything. There was nothing you could do. It's Mother Nature, right? Yeah, right? You can play the rounds. The hardest rounds were actually the guys that had to play in the morning because they were getting wet rough. By the afternoon, the wind only blew as high as 10 miles an hour the whole entire week.
Wow.
So there's nothing really. So what they decided to do is, if the greens were going to be soft, the only way that you could actually play defense is by setting the pins to areas where the guys would be putting downhill a majority of the time, so they couldn't be aggressive. So that's what they did. They put pin placements out there to where if it was going to be morning dewy, or if there was going to be any rain or whatever, and these guys could stop the ball, they still would have to putt downhill and play defense. So that's what they did. Gary Woodland, just a super nice guy. Couldn't be a better winner out there. Again, Brooks Koepka is just a majors grinder, and started out 3 out of the first 4 or 5 holes. He was like right there, and then just didn't hit the shots like he did on the way. It's a great finish. He had to chip off the green on 17, get it up and down over the swale, hit it to 2 feet, and then made a bomb on 18 to finish. It was a great finish to the golf tournament. A lot of caddies said, great job. It was very fair. But again, the USGA doesn't like to see 11, 13 under par. Like they don't like to see that, right? Yeah. Especially in a USGA event. They did have a lot of drama going into it. A lot of players were going to try to boycott or voice their opinion on how goofy they can get, and they couldn't get goofy because the greens were soft. So there was no way that they could go that route, right, even though they probably wanted to go that route. So next year's at Wingfoot, and we'll see. But again, it was sold out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 50,000 people each day. It was people everywhere. So turned out to be a good Pebble Beach Open. I know that merchandise wise, on Saturday they sold $3.5 million in merchandise just on one day alone. They broke USGA merchandise records. So overall, even with logistically and over the overall business part of it, it was very successful.
Sounds like it. Yeah. Right. All right. Do we have anything else to?
Not for me.
That's it.
Nope. That's it.
We are out.
Good night.
Peace.